Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A mystery package slid off her Auckland porch, spilling rainbow tubes and a single paintbrush. She hadn't touched art since primary school, yet here was destiny, sticky with cerulean fingerprints. Across town, flyers for a community art fair fluttered like cheeky invitations. Retirement had left her adrift, but this? This was a dare. Helen-eyed brush, its bristles splayed like a middle finger to inertia. Time to make something lit. Or die trying. Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush, tucked in a forgotten drawer since her teaching days, clattered to floor as she rummaged for batteries. Its frayed bristles mocked her, a relic from a life that once buzzed with purpose. Retirement had left her adrift, a kayak bobbing in Auckland's harbor with no paddle. She eyed brush like it might bite. Art? Yeah? Her hands, more accustomed to grading papers than gliding over canvas, trembled. But boredom was a louder critic than fear. That weekend, she dragged herself to a community art fair packed with stalls lit by fairy lights and hipsters hawking upcycled driftwood sculptures. A flyer for a seniors art therapy group caught her eye. Why not? First session, Helen dabbed paint like a toddler fearing timeout. But with each stroke, something loosened. Memories surfaced, mixing tempura for first graders, their giggles as she demonstrated proper brush washes. Now her own colors bled freely, cerulean for Waitemata Harbor, ochre for Pohutukawa blooms. By week 6, her kitchen table groaned under canvases. When group announced a show local library, Helen's gut clenched. Sharing felt like standing in her undies on Queen Street. But she submitted a piece anyway, a bold, swirling homage to her late mother's Kowai brooch rendered with that resurrected brush. Opening night, strangers lingered by her work. One woman teared up. "It's like you've captured light," she murmured. Helen's throat tightened. Maybe purpose wasn't lost, maybe it had just been waiting for new hands to mold it. Walking home, she passed a busker's off-key rendition of Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush slipped from her shaky grip, splattering cerulean across pristine hardwood. Retirement had left her hands idle, days shapeless. That brush, once her mother's, now mocked her from its dusty drawer. But fate had a flair for dramatics. Next morning, a neon flyer clung to her windshield, community art fair, no experience needed. Auckland's autumn air smelled of salt and possibility as Helen shuffled into a sunlit studio. Walls pulsed with half-finished canvases, clay monsters, yarn explosions. A woman with rainbow-streaked hair, Mira, 72, and gloriously unbothered, grinned. Newbies always stand like lost penguins. Helen's spine straightened. Myra's crew was a riot of silver-haired rebels, a former accountant who sculpted teapots with political slogans, a nurse who painted galaxies on old pill bottles. They traded techniques like kids swapping candy. Helen's first attempts were tragic, a sunset more resembling ketchup spill, a vase that leaned like a drunk flamingo. But laughter, not perfection, greased wheels. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of early morning sketches and accidental masterpieces. That old brush became her wand, each stroke rewriting retirement's script. She discovered textures, how thick oils could mimic storm clouds, how watercolors bled into forgiveness. One evening, Mira slid a brochure toward her, Senior Showcase, Tell Your Story. Panic fizzed in Helen's chest. But Mira just winked. Scared is good. Means it's lit. Show day dawned brittle bright. Helen's piece, Tides of Time, hung center stage, a whirl of blues and gold, her mother's brush strokes hidden like secrets in waves. Strangers paused, murmured. A teen in ripped jeans snapped a pic. This slaps, she declared. Helen's spirit hammered, not from fear, but recognition. Walking home, she clutched a ribbon, honorable mention, but who cared, and a business card from a local gallery. Wind tugged her scarf, same playful way Myra's laughter had tugged her from shadows. That brush now lived in her pocket, light as a promise. Retirement wasn't an ending, it was a blank canvas, and Helen? She'd just begun to paint. Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A stack of unopened retirement pamphlets slid off her kitchen counter, mocking her with glossy promises of cruises and golf. Auckland's drizzle blurred her windows, matching her mood. She nudged a pamphlet with her toe. Golf? She'd rather wrestle a possum. 3 weeks later, a neon flyer for community art therapy snagged her attention. Free. No experience needed. Helen scoffed. Last time she'd held a paintbrush, Reagan was president. But boredom was a stubborn beast. She showed up, arms crossed, daring universe to prove her wrong. First session was a disaster. Her sunset looked like a melted lollipop. Others' canvases gleamed with confident strokes while hers whimpered in beige. A younger woman beside her, all effortless curls and Pinterest-perfect florals, shot a pitying glance. Helen's jaw tightened. She mixed a defiant smear of crimson. So what if she painted like a caffeinated octopus? She'd paid her dues in spreadsheets for 40 years, this was her rebellion. Week after week, she returned. Brushes became weapons against doubt. She learned to layer colors like secrets, each stroke a whisper of something forgotten. One evening, hunched over a half-finished seascape, she realized her shoulders didn't ache. Not from arthritis, but from hours of leaning forward, lit by something fiercer than ambition joy. Then came flyer for community art fair. Submissions open to all. Helen's gut lurched. Showing her work felt like standing naked in Queen Street. But alternative another afternoon rearranging teacups was worse. She submitted 2 pieces, then promptly hid confirmation email under 47 unread messages. Day of fair, her spirit thumped like a possum in a sack. She hovered near her displayed paintings, pretending to examine a nearby ceramic owl. A toddler pointed her seascape. "Mom, it's sparkly." Helen's chest did a thing. Later, a silver-haired woman lingered, tracing brush strokes with her eyes. "Reminds me of Wayheek summers," she murmured. Helen's throat tightened. That was point. No blue ribbons, no champagne toasts. Just a sticky note tucked under her canvas, "More please." Helen pocketed it, grinning. On bus home, she sketched ideas on a napkin, her hands smudged with charcoal. 65 and she was just getting started. Who knew retirement could be this lit? Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush, flung from its jar in a moment of frustration, smacked her retirement card off table. That brush became her lifeline. For weeks, she'd wandered Auckland's art fairs, watching vibrant strokes on canvas, feeling like a ghost in her own life. Then, gutsy move, she signed up for a community workshop. First session, hands trembled so hard her sunset looked like a toddler's scribble. But something sparked, not perfection, not even close, but raw, messy joy. Months later, she led her own class for silver-haired newbies. "No rules," she announced, brandishing that same rogue brush like a wand. Skeptical Muriel from Knitting Club scoffed, arms crossed, until she slapped cerulean blue across a blank sheet with a flourish. "Your turn." Muriel hesitated, then swiped crimson, slow, then wild, laughing as colors bled into something alive. Then came show. Helen's piece, Second Dawn, hung center stage, a whirl of gold and stormy gray, that brushstroke bold as a heartbeat. Crowds clustered, murmurs rising. A tourist snapped a pic. Next morning, it blew up online. Viral grandma artist trended locally. Reporters called. Muriel, now a convert, gaped her own sold-out canvas. Standing there, she clutched her brush, heart pounding. No longer just someone's mom, someone's former boss. She'd found her voice in every reckless, radiant stroke. Later, sipping Chardonnay amid cheers, she spotted a woman lingering near exit, eyes darting between flyers and paint-splattered shoes. Helen grinned. Pissed, she whispered, nudging a spare brush forward. "Your turn." "Lit?" "Absolutely. And just getting started." Helen's 65th birthday arrived with a thud, literally. A rogue paintbrush, flung from her neglected easel, bonked her forehead as she shuffled past. A sign? Maybe. Or just bad luck. Either way, retirement felt like a beige waiting room until she stumbled into an art therapy workshop. Skeptical but desperate, she dipped a brush into cerulean blue. Something cracked open. Weeks later, her tiny apartment bloomed with canvases, wild strokes, messy collages, one questionable nude. Her cat, Mr. Whiskers, was not impressed. But Helen? She was lit. That shaky hand? Perfect for wobbly sunflowers. That useless free time? Fuel for midnight watercolors. Then came Game Changer, a flyer for a community art fair. Amateurs welcome. It lied. She sweated through submitting her work anyway. Opening night, she hovered near her display, heart pounding. A teen paused, squinted her abstract piece, splattered with what looked like spaghetti sauce but was actually emotional rawness. "This kid said is kinda dope." Woman cackled. By evening's end, 3 strangers asked about commissions. One even called her an icon. She tipped over a wineglass in shock. "Yeah?" Creator runs weekly workshops for restless retirees, guiding stiff fingers into bold strokes. Her mantra, messes mean progress. That first paintbrush, once dusty, now chipped from overuse, sits framed above her desk. Auckland's art fairs know her by name. Mr. Whiskers tolerates chaos. And every time some silver-haired skeptic mutters, "I'm too old for this," Helen winks. Honey, Picasso was still cranking out masterpieces. Grab a brush, your weirdest stroke yet is waiting. CTA, swipe the doubt aside. Splash your soul onto something today.